This is the Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall.
Let's go nuts! It's Jimmy Nuts! Right out of the door!
With your hosts, Mark Martinez.
Because I'm the Mark and I'm awesome!
The Guru.
Today I'm going to break it down for all you simpleton sweat hogs listening out there in Can Crusher Nation. I don't mean to come out here week after week and toot my own horn, but toot.
And the English Professor.
It is I, the English professor from the County of Kings, speaking the English of the Queen.
Hey, this is former WWE superstar Duke the Dumpster Drosy, and you are listening to the Can Crushers Podcast.
And welcome to another Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. It's Spotlight time, and you know I'm excited about that. As you guys can see from the thumbnail, this one's been one that we have been wanting to talk about for a long time. Oh yeah, by the way, this is pretty important. So my sidekick's here for, is it 10 times now in a row? I don't know. I've lost track.
Something like that. Yeah, I'm racking up the points. I don't mind you forgetting about me there for a second because we're talking to Sam Houston today. That's pretty exciting stuff.
It is, John. So many stories about Sam Houston, and I'll ruin it. This one's for Mom. This one's for Mom. Number 2 for Mom. If we ever get to talk to Magnum, Sam Houston was one of Mom's favorites. She had a little crush on him.
Oh, that's cute.
You were supposed to say cool. Not that.
That's cool.
This is a wrestling podcast.
Sorry. No, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember. I'm sure you do. Mom got to see Sam Houston. So did you. We saw him in DuBois like 35 years ago or something like that. He wrestled Bret Hart.
Why didn't we go together that night?
I don't know. I just remember. So my birthday was in a few days after that. And our friend, Pat Lupino, his mother worked at my mom's pizzeria, and she got tickets for us. And then I remember, asking Pat, "Gee, I wonder if Mark's here." And, of course, you had better seats. We looked up and saw you a few rows
of course
in front of us. Yeah.
Helen always pulling the punches. Or pulling, yeah that's sure.
Making things happen.
Making things happen. So, yeah, so many memories of Sam. Talk about Dusty, talk about Magnum, the Horseman. There's just so many paths that we can go with him in professional wrestling. I'm excited.
Yeah, same here. Absolutely, I am too. So why don't we get him on the phone? But first, before we do that, let's talk a little bit about Collar and Elbow.
Hats, hoodies, tees, eye patches, vests, masks. I guess we don't need masks that much longer. So we'll just go from there.
Hopefully not. Yeah, hopefully not.
And we have an awesome promo code that when you buy this amazing apparel, that you save money. What's the promo code?
It's very easy to remember, listeners. It is Can Crushers. Capital C in Can, capital C in Crushers. Spell it all as one word, and you'll save some dough, Mark. About how much? Well, not about how much, exactly how much.
10%.
10%, exactly 10%, which, as we always say, works out to be about what?
Shipping and or parking.
Right. So if you hate paying shipping, that 10% kind of adds up to shipping. But if you hate paying parking, you pay the shipping on this order, and then you can just tell yourself later on that Al paid for my parking for me.
Oh, Al Snow? This one that's coming up right now?
That's the very same.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
And welcome back, Can Crushers listeners. We just heard from Al Snow over at Collar and Elbow, makers of hats, hoodies, T-shirts, pants, you name it. Al Snow makes it. Great wrestling gear. And as promised, we have on the line with us now Sam Houston. Sam Houston, thanks so much for joining the Can Crushers this evening.
Well, hey, John, thanks for having me, man. You know, anytime I can get the opportunity to reach out to the fans, I like to, because, you know, my job in life is to help people. You know, I've been through a lot. We were discussing part of my story right before we went on the air, and my main concern in life is to make sure that as many people hear the word and are saved as I can possibly get to hear, you know, because it's not about this earth. It's about your eternal salvation. You know, and everything you do here now, I'm saying that, let me say this. I've had an incredible life. I've flown across the sky on the edge of a lightning bolt. I've opened up for the Who. I was almost eaten by cannibals twice. I've had an incredible life. I've been around the world 8 times. So I've stepped in the ring with just about everybody that was anybody in my lifetime. I wrestled, you know, I've been in the ring with 3 generations of the Samoan dynasty. 3 generations.
Wow.
You know?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a great intro. How could we even top an intro that you just gave yourself? You can tell that you're in the business.
Well, listen, my babies, and you're going to hear about the tales next boss of Sam Houston and Dusty Rhodes. See, baby, we ride across the sky on the edge of a lightning bolt. You know?
Holy cow. Wow.
Yeah.
And you think that's Dusty Rhodes? That was amazing.
Well, you know, Dusty broke me in when I was in '83 when I was ready to break in, and my dad wasn't going to help me break in because the year before I had my tonsils taken out and I flatlined on the table, and I was dead for 2 minutes, and I didn't eat food that year. I was in a coma for 2 weeks when they resuscitated me. I didn't eat food from April the 1st to August the 13th that year. I lost over 100 pounds, 102 pounds. And it took me a whole nother year to get my GED and get back in shape. And then I worked out with George Weingroff a couple times. And when he told me, he said he's ready. And my dad said, no, but I already lost you once. And he said, this business is not for you. So I talked to Dusty Rhodes one night in New Orleans. And my dad had given Dusty his big break. Dusty was going home to retire in 1969. And my dad gave him his big break at the Sportatorium in Dallas on his way home to Austin to be a plumber. And a couple of years later, the American Dream was born down in Florida. So, you know, to return the favor, I think Dusty kind of, he helped me. Because he knew the passion of my heart. He watched me grow up, you know.
Did your dad ever have ill will saying that to you? You know, you're not getting into the business, and then you go over and get into business anyway.
No, what happened was I left home. You know, Dusty had given me a starting date of September 13th. Well, I left. You know, and I got down to Florida, and I told him I didn't want to wrestle under my name. I didn't want to be like, you know, other wrestling families where second generation guys get an early break because they're somebody's kid or whatever. I wanted to earn it on my own. And that's what I did. Thank you. I went to Florida. He changed my name to Michael Sam Houston. And that Tuesday night, Sam Houston was born in Tampa, Florida, ironically the same place that Michael Smith was born. And then I wrestled in Florida for 3 months, didn't have very much contact with home. But I went home for Christmas, and I was at my mom's house, and my dad came over, and he said, hey, can I talk to you outside for a minute, Sam? I was like, oh, no, he knows. And he said, son, he goes, I'm the matchmaker for Watts. He said, all these people are sending, all these people send me all these pictures all the time. He said, imagine what I think when I see their pictures of my own son. he said, well, I've talked to Dusty. He said, you're really doing good. He goes, me and Bill want you to come home and work here. And I said, no, Dad, I'm not going to come home until I'm a main eventer everywhere else first. And that's what I did. I won titles for the NWA. I was on top in Central States. I was on top in in Mid-Atlantic. So I earned my stripes, and then I went home. That way, nobody could contest it if I was worthy or not.
Right.
Right.
I mean, let's see. In three months, I ended up being first runner-up for the Rookie of the Year. I think that year. I think Mike Von Erich won it, but I was given unbelievable, or not. I wasn't given. I earned unbelievable opportunities. I earned the right to work every night. Because I always went out there and I gave it all I had. And then when I went to the Carolinas in '84, about starved to death here until Dusty and them came in and blew the territory wide open.
Yeah.
So when the next time your father, would run into Dusty Rhodes, was he thankful that he trained you, or was there any animosity that he's?
Well, nobody, that's no, because my dad was actually told me at Christmas time, he said, I'm proud of you.
Nice.
Right.
Because I didn't just take it. Oh no, they say I can't do this. Well, I did it anyway. Right. People, and Jake says it too. Everybody says I walk a different path, and I guess I do. The same thing that drives other people is not what drives me. So, I think I don't know. I have a different. I know all things are possible. I've been, partially paralyzed twice, and I'm still getting in the ring and wrestling. And I was in the ring last Tuesday night over at this wrestling gym, working out with my son-in-law Bosworth, and believe it or not, Arn Anderson's kid, Brock. So I showed him some pointers, taught Brock how to throw a really good deep arm drag, because you don't see guys that know how to wrestle anymore.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you for coming out and saying that. Yeah, I agree.
And Brock, I mean, yeah, Arn, I don't have any animosity towards anybody as far as I'm concerned, but I want to help this kid out, I told Arn the other day, I said, he's about the same age as you were when I first met you. And he's like, yeah. So, but I was happy to help him out. And I'm happy to go down to that gym, getting back in shape. I'm wrestling at the Gathering in Charlotte in the end of July. And I want to make sure I give the people 110% of everything I got.
John, that's a trip that we should make. We should definitely.
Y'all definitely should make it, man. Y'all get to come, and if you want to, because I got some great ideas. I've been building this bunkhouse. It's like a set. I don't know if you checked into Sam Houston Fan Nation, but I'd like to get all your listeners, or everybody listening, to go ahead and come and join the nation. My fiance is doing a heck of a job running it. She's getting me on to doing the interviews. We're asking a trivia question once a week, and I'm sending out autograph posters. But it'll be a thing that, the fans, because I'm at 5,000 friends on the Facebook, page. So now I'm a public figure, so anybody that wants to check it out or whatever, first of all, don't be, mad that I'm a conservative, but I'll tell you what, I'll draw a line in the dirt and I'll stand and fight on that line. I ain't no crybaby. So, nice. But anybody can look at my page because I'm a public figure, and that's under Michael Sam Houston. And then, but you can, everybody else can follow me on Sam Houston Fan Nation. We've got 2 YouTube channels that I don't know too much about yet, but we'll get that information out there to everybody. Just a lot of great things, Oh, I've been blessed to have skills, carpentry skills, and everything, and I've been helping out a whole lot of disabled people through all this COVID BS and all that stuff. Can you call it BS?
Oh, you
Or
can
I won't get.
you can say whatever you want to on this because you normally we're drinking beer and swearing all the time, Sam. So you're
Oh, okay,
good.
that's
This,
cool.
this is open
Yeah, I
mic.
don't. I ain't buying into this COVID crap or none of that stuff. And then and I'm not saying that the people that do are fools or anything like that, because I'm not going to trash talk anybody. Um, but if you feel like you need the vaccine, go get you one. You know, because I hear now that if your employer requires you to have one to work, and you get one and you have a side effect that kills you or something like that, then your family gets a payoff. So I mean, if you want it, go get it. If you don't want it, leave us alone, but don't.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
You know.
We've got Mark and I have a bunch of wrestling questions we want to get to. But
Sure.
Let's stick to what you said, sort of in the introduction here, Sam. Your mission at this point in your life is to lead people towards a certain path, a path
Yes.
of righteousness. What happened? What was that moment for you where you said, "This is the path that I need," and why didn't you maybe see that years before?
Okay. Oh gosh. Because I was blind, I was blind by alcohol, the same thing that was curing all my ailments, the mental, the physical, the emotional. The same thing that was curing and giving me relief was also causing the pain in the first place, and I couldn't see that. Now, I was 12 years old, in a Baptist church. I walked down the aisle and gave my life to Christ then. But, then it's for, the Krispy Kreme donuts at the end of the aisle because, once you go through the line, you get donuts again. So you don't really know what's going on. And then when I went to go have my surgery, we went to church and things like that. And, I got the joy down in my heart. Well, that's good for Sundays for an hour. And that's supposed to get you by for a week. Well, one night in the 90s, I guess, oh gosh, it was the mid 90s, and my aunt lived across the street from the church I attend in Whitesboro, Texas. But I wasn't attending church. I was a drunk. And I seen everybody, and my heart was full of pain. I was hurting inside and outside, physically too, And because I was trying to come back from career-ending injuries, and I seen everybody going into the church, and boy, they was happy and everything. And then I seen them coming out, and they were still all happy and full of the joy and the spirit. And I went over there and I talked to Brother Joe Patterson that night, and he said some stuff to me. He said, "You're bigger than Whitesboro, Texas." And he said a few things that I didn't understand what he was talking about at the time, But he saved me and he led me to Christ, and I started. But I wasn't ready to give up who I was yet. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm Sam Houston. I'm the party animal. I can drink anybody, out drink anybody, out wrestle, out do this, out do that. I could do it all. So, or that's how you felt. So anyway, I was still living as me, and then, oh gosh, that went on for years. Then in 2009, I got pulled over. Won't go into all I had an argument with a girlfriend. I was on my way to the halfway house. Didn't turn my blinker on, and I had one drink. And I'd had a couple of DWIs in Louisiana, 2 DWIs before. I hadn't had a drink. Well, I had the one drink going to the halfway house and got pulled over for an improper lane change. They smelled the alcohol on me. They told me, they said, well, they didn't have probable cause to arrest me for a DWI. But they put me in, they locked me up, and I bailed out, and I went to, I checked myself into Senecor, which is a very, very rigorous 2-year-long rehab program. And I was there 3 months to the day. I go to court to to pay a ticket for an improper lane change. They threw that out and hit me with 4th offense DWI. I told the district attorney, I said, I haven't ever been convicted of a 3rd offense DWI. And he told me if I have to redo the paperwork, he was going to hit me with the Habitual Offender Act, and I would spend the rest of my life in jail. He'd give me 30 years.
Oh my God.
You know, so you're faced with that decision. And so they're going to give me a little bit of time to think about it because I'm a professional wrestler. They put me on Murderer's Row. It's like L Wing or something, Baton Rouge, East Baton Rouge Parish. It's the worst of the worst. The worst of the worst of the worst individuals. And you're in there with 39 other guys. I've seen stabbings in there. I've seen it all. You know, I had a few altercations. This one guy come in and was telling my cellmate what he did to a little girl, and I hit him so hard. I had my hands around the guy's throat, and I was going to make him breathe no more, you know. And then I got 6 guards on me beating me off with sticks, you know. But the second night I was in there, I was like, I can't live like this. And I slipped my bed sheet up and braided it together. Made 2 nooses, ran them through the bars, tied them real good and tight. Now, I tie knots offshore. I can tie a knot, you know. I've got all the credentials, blah, 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 blah. I put the nooses over my head, and I got on the top rack, which is only 5 foot 4 inches off the ground. So I had the nooses through the top of the bars to where it would snap my neck. When I jumped, I said, God, only you can stop this now. And I jumped. I hit the ground so hard, the soles of my feet were bruised for weeks. Both those knots broke. They didn't rip. They didn't tear. I carry a piece of that sheet with me now because when I'm feeling bad or something, I look back at the worst time in my life, and I look where I'm at now. And I'm going to tell you something: if you have faith in yourself, if you have faith in the Son, you know, your life will get better. I mean, I get blessed every day. It's just being able to recognize your blessings. Well, I made a promise that night when I hit the ground. I promised God that I wouldn't try to hurt myself anymore. And I promised that I was going to try to do the best I could to every day be better than I was the day before. You know, 5 days later, they came. They chained me up. They took me to the chaplain's office. They said, your mom's dead. You can use the telephone. I called home, and Rob and my sister took the call, and they arranged for me to go to my mom's funeral in chains. When they brought me back, they took the chains off, and I dropped to my knees that day. Now, I hadn't drank since the last time had been August the 28th of 2009. So I'm coming up on my 12 years. Now, that's the last day I drank. My sober day would be the August 29th when I made my decision to go into center court. But I got down on my knees that night and I prayed. I prayed to God, to Yahweh, through the Son Yeshua, which people call Jesus Christ. But if you go back in Greek, it's Yeshua. I prayed through him to Yahweh, our Heavenly Father, our Almighty. I prayed to him. I said, you have all power. I said, please, I never want to drink again. And I promised that promise for my daughters because I didn't want them to feel the same pain that I was going through over losing my mom. I hate to say that it took the death of my mom to make me strong enough to fight my evils, but it did. You know?
Sam, thank you
I
for
could do
sharing
all
that
kind of
story.
I can do all kind of stuff, but I wasn't strong enough. So I know about people's addictions. Like I said, you got to draw a line in the dirt. You got to look at, and you got to get real. You go, this is where I'm going to stand, and this is where I'm going to fight. And if need be, this is where I'm going to die. You know, in prison, anytime you get into any type of altercation, that could be it. You know, well, in one place, the first place they sent me to was Tensas maximum security disciplinary camp in Waterproof, Louisiana. Anyway, I was there. We had 2 to 5 fights a night. Every night. We were getting pepper sprayed every day. They were coming in the door, and there were 96 people in there. There was 11 white guys, 2 Mexicans, and everybody else was black. You know? And you had the people running the dope in. You had it all going on. You know? And like I said, immediately when I got there, my size helped me. I didn't get in any altercations at that place because nobody knew who I was for about 7 months. And then it was against 3 guys one night. I told my Bible study guys not to get involved, just make sure nobody stabs me or hits me in the back of the head with a lock. Because that's what they do. They put a lock, combination lock on a shoestring or a piece of plastic made into a shoestring. And they whip it around, and then they nail you in the back of the head. I've seen a lot of people get took out like that.
Wow.
You know, it's nothing funny, you know. I mean, I want to do this interview series. I want to, you know, I get hit with so many people's crap. Like this one, oh, well, we want to do a docu-series. We want to do a docudrama. We want to do this. We want to do that. Well, let's do it. I'm right here. Let me talk about it, you know?
Right.
But nobody wants to do it. So I've got all the equipment to do it myself with now. And we're going to get it out there. We're going to get the story out to the people. You know, there's been interviews that other family members have made and this, that, and the other. I did not live those family members' lives, so I can't speak on that. But, you know, from what I'm hearing, what's coming up, I'm getting preparing myself. I'm not going to like what I hear. I'm understanding. But then again, it's not me.
All right. That's your own life. I love how you said that. You didn't live your dad, your brother, your sisters, you know, any exes, any life. You lived your life.
And I tell you what, sometimes it was great.
It seems it.
No. Look, I got to tell you, okay, the first time I met Andre the Giant, me and Robin, we come home from school, and, you know, we're like, I don't know, 10 years old. I'm 10 or 11 years old, something. And Andre had come in to be my dad's tag team partner for 2 weeks, you know, the world's tallest tag team. Because so anyway, I was going to get to go to the matches with him that night to Shreveport for the TV taping. Well, when Robin and I get home from school, we're all happy because Mom had made our favorite chicken fried steak, rice and gravy, you know, peas and corn and the whole 9 yards. Now, so we can't wait to get home. We get home and there's no food left. Andre the Giant had eaten 22 pieces of chicken fried steak.
Wow.
He cleaned out everything. So my mom made Andre buy us Burger King. So now me, Dad, and Andre get in the car and we drive to Lafayette. We go to the matches, you know, and everything. So after the matches are over, Dad stops and Dad would get a bottle of wine, you know, and drink a bottle of wine. So Dad stops at the convenience store and he says, well, Andre, he goes, would you like a beer? You know, because come on, everybody knows that the boys drank, you know, on the road. So he said, would you like a beer? And Andre said, yes, 2, please. Well, my dad gets in the store, he gets his magnum of wine. He goes, 2 beers, a big guy like that? I'll get him the whole 6-pack. He comes out with a 6-pack and Andre goes, I meant 2 cases.
That was
Andre
a good
goes
Andre,
back.
by the way.
Yeah, thank you. So they go, he gets his 2 cases of beer and gets back in the car. Now, Dad had given me a bottle of Boone's Farm Strawberry Hill. Dad had a rule, if you know, and a lot of times the boys were riding with this DiBiase or this one or that one, but, you know, they would be riding with us. So when they were talking, I wasn't allowed to interrupt. You know, and that's one rule I kept. Because my dad was a stinking giant. You know? So anyway, we get out of Lafayette, and it was old back roads to Alexandria. Up north of Alexandria was a 7-Eleven. Well, that's only about 85, 90 miles or something. In that 90 miles, my dad had drank his Magnum of wine. Andre had drank the 2 cases and the 6-pack. So they stop at that 7-Eleven. And Andre gets another 2 cases of beer, and my dad gets another Magnum of wine. Now, I went and I used the restroom. And so I was good. Well, now we're driving from from Alexandria to Shreveport. When we get to Natchitoches, one of the Natchitoches po-po comes in behind us. Boy, and he hits his lights, and he's following, you know, he's right behind us. Well, Dad and Andre are sitting there talking and laughing and everything. They don't know this. So this guy follows us for about a minute or so. I said, Dad, and Dad said, son, how many times have I told you that when we were talking business not to interrupt? I was like, yes, sir, but Dad, and Dad said, son, and when he said son like that, shut the hell up. So a few minutes go by, they still haven't noticed the cop, you know, so I go ahead and speak up again. And my dad said, son, do I need to pull this car over? And I said, no, sir. And he then went, well, to think about it, you know, boss, he goes, I didn't do it. I didn't use the restroom when we stopped at the store. And Andre goes, me neither. And my dad goes, I sure wouldn't mind stopping and checking out the other side of a sign, you know. And Andre goes, I could be too. He said, piss. So they pull over on a 2-lane highway, you know, on the shoulder right there. And I'm in the back seat. Boy, this cop, he's out of his car. He's out of his car. He's got the ticket book and the pen in hand, and he's writing away. Boy, he's writing the license plate down and a Ford Galaxy 500, and he's writing all this stuff down. And he looks, and I'm looking at him through the back window, and he looks, and he sees Dad and Andre starting to stand up, and he goes back to right for a second. Then he looks, and he sees them standing up and then standing all the way up.
Oh God!
And the man, and especially what humor they were in. Ha ha ha! Threw his ticket book and pen in the air, went and got in his car and left. Dad and Andre P. Dad goes, what was that all about? And it's like, Dad, he'd been following us for about 5 minutes now. He was like, oh well.
Oh
Didn't
wow!
think nothing of it. Yeah. Oh shoot! I mean, oh gosh, we've had. I mean, not Andre. Wahoo McDaniel's told. I was with him one night. He told a policeman in Rockingham that he had the red light hung too high, couldn't see it.
We spoke.
We signed a couple of autograph pictures. We signed some autograph pictures.
We spoke with Scott Casey about a month or two ago. John, is that correct?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And
okay, cool.
First of all, Scott says hi. We told him we were going to have you on the show, so he says hi to send his love and everything.
Yeah,
and,
please tell him I said hi. He's a great guy.
And he told some Wahoo stories. Sam, I don't know if I knew Wahoo knew any other word besides, and I'm sorry, motherfucker. That's all I heard that Wahoo heard that he said.
Yeah, well, I've known Wahoo since I was about 4 years old. Or I'd known Wahoo since I was about 4 years old. And I got a couple of good ones. So, when I'm 4 years old, we used to do TV taping back then, Leroy McGurk for Channel 10 in Oklahoma City at the TV station. Well, the guys had to get dressed in the news offices rooms, the big bullpen. They all, you get behind somebody else's desk, but you can't get to the bathrooms and you can't get to the vending area. So Wahoo wanted a Coke and he gave me 50 cents. Well, they were only 35 cents, and I kept his 15 cents for going. That was but he didn't find that fair. So like later on, when I was 15 years old, he brought that up, and then he brought it up to me again later on in the business. Because a lot of people don't know, I used to be the ring crew for Watts and play all the music. I was the mechanic for all the boys, just everything. And the guys would fly in and I'd give them a ride around and stuff. I always took care of the midgets when they came in, or the girl wrestlers when they came in, because I worked for the office kind of until I broke in. The guys, that's why Dusty and I were such good friends. That's why Wahoo and I were such good friends and stuff like that. So anyway, okay, I'm working for Crockett. Me and Wahoo, Charleston, South Carolina, that building was the hottest thing in the summertime. Oh my gosh. And it should have been steamrolled over. It really should have been. I hope it has by now. It probably just fell down. I mean, there was holes in the staircase where you had to jump over it, miss some steps and stuff from the dressing room downstairs. Anyway, so me and Wahoo, boy, we were just so thirsty we couldn't make it to the beer store. So we stopped at this little place, this little club, went in, and there were 3 guys going through basic training. And you already know the feeling. Me and Wahoo, we walked in, we ordered a couple of beers apiece. We were just going down these and hit the road. So, boy, we're down that first one and everything. And one of the kids said something. Oh, that's that fake wrestler and wrestling guy, blah, blah, blah. And when he did, I kid you not, Wahoo went. I wasn't fast enough to get off my stool before he'd laid them all out. Pap, pap, pap. It's like, wow, So anyway, but I love Wahoo to death. So anyway, then Crockett they decided to put him with Tully, and Wahoo and Tully were going to tag for a little bit. So Brian Adidas picked me up in Charlotte with me, and I rode to Spartanburg with Brian. And when I went to put my wrestling bag in, I said, "Hey, who's golf clubs?" He said, "Oh, they're Chiefs. I went and played some golf today." I said, "Oh, okay. Well, just as you would have it, we get to the TV, the taping and everything, and me and Brian Adidas got to work with Wahoo and Tully, right? So the dressing rooms are side by side. There's one hallway and one door going out, but you're separate dressing rooms, but it's still the one hallway. So Wahoo and Tully were standing in the hallway, and me and Brian go as we're going out to the ring. And I said, "Hey, Chief," I said, "I'm sorry about your 9-iron. I'm going to get that straightened out for you."
Uh-oh. What happened?
Wahoo is an avid. He loves golfing. He got there. He was chopping me so hard, and I was taking a bump and laughing. That is the funniest ass whipping I ever took. I laughed the whole day. No, I just got back in the back. I told him I didn't mess with you, I was just playing. Yeah. But when it all came down to it, with when I had like a little thing going on with Mosca that I took care of on my own, but Wahoo was right there, had my back if I needed it. Huh?
With you said with Mosca, with King Kong Mosca, you're saying?
Yeah, Angelo Mosca.
Yeah.
Angelo Mosca wouldn't mess with guys. He was a bully, he wouldn't mess with guys that messed back. So one night he put combination locks on Mark Fleming. Here's a guy that works 1 day a week or 2 days a week. Jordache come out with those blue jeans, and they were $60 a pair. Well, he had a pair of Jordache jeans. Now he's got combination locks on all the belt loops. He had to cut and ruin his jeans. Then the next week, he locks Barry Horowitz's duffel bag to a steel pipe. Barry was wrestling there under the name Bret Hart at the time. So anyway, but he locked it. So I go to both of them, and I say, hey, I'm going to get this guy, you know. And they were like, no, they were scared. So I was like, okay. So I got even with him in Tazewell, Virginia. I messed with his stuff. He wanted to kill me, but I was smarter than he was. Well, and I thought it was all over with. And then I'm in Asheville in the ring. So one Sunday afternoon, and I win my match, and I turn around to go get out of the ring, and here comes Wahoo walking up to the, and he's the main event. Why is he walking up in the first match? And he goes, hey, kid. He said, don't put your hat on when you get in the dressing room. He goes, Mosca, that SOB filled it up with water. I said, it's all right. It's beaver fur, Chief. So we get back to the dressing room. I dump the water out. Chief Wahoo grabs his hair dryer and plugs it in right by Mosca and starts blowing the water off of my hat onto Mosca. So Mosca turns around that night in Charlotte because it was a double shot, and he tells Crockett, if I'm booked anywhere within the next 2 weeks, he's leaving then. So he knocked me out of 2 weeks worth of bookings. His last night happened to be Richmond, Virginia, and Wahoo called me that Saturday morning. He said, hey, kid, what you doing? And I said, it's nothing. I've been here, off 2 weeks. He goes, well, tonight's Mosca's last night in Richmond. And I said, yeah, I know. I said, I sure would like to go. He said, well, I'm going by myself if you want to ride. It's like, Chief, let me pick some things up and I'm coming. Oh, all right. First of all, I used to be a mechanic. So I had all kinds of stuff. All right. We get to Richmond, Virginia. While we're in Wahoo's Bronco. He says, kid, let me go see what's going on, and I'll come back and tell you. I said, cool. And Wahoo went in, saw what was going on. He come back out, and he said, okay, kid, he got himself moved to the third match. So you just got from now to then. He's going to shower, and he's hitting the road to Toronto. He's trying to beat the people. I said, he ain't never going to do that. So the first thing I did, because we park in the tunnel down in Richmond, I'm sorry for all the listeners, you park in a tunnel. And after the matches, that tunnel would fill up with however many people were there that want autographs. And, you might have like 10,000 people in a trying to inch their way to you. It would get crazy. So anyway, let me tell you, okay, Mosca comes out. Well, all right. If you're going to pull a rib, don't just make it a one boom thing. It needs to have follow-ups to it. Okay. So now I do my business, and now I'm sitting there in Wahoo's passenger seat, like laying really down, just my eyes over the dash where I can see. Mosca's a big man. I'm a very observant person. Mosca's a big man, and I know he has hip problems like my dad. So he used to get in and out of the car the same way my dad did. You have to open the door, you sit down, and then you swing both your legs in at the same time. I knew this. So I had a Slim Jim pop-a-lock, So I had unlocked his door and spread 75 pounds of manure on his front seat of his Cadillac, leather interior. Okay, so look, he walks in the car, opens the trunk. I see his trunk is full with everything he owns. He's in a Cadillac. Closes the trunk. He's got his towel in his hand. Boy, he comes out of that car. He comes out spitting and screaming and cussing, looking around, and then he's like seeing what it is, and he's wiping it out. And now he's like looking around and all down in that tunnel to see if he can see anything. What the hell just happened? So he finally gets his seat cleaned out and everything. He gets in there and he cranks his car up. And he turns the car's parked against the wall. He turns his headlights on, but the wall don't light up. So he gets walks around, and I spray painted his headlights black. So the only thing he's got is a little plastic ice scraper. So he's trying to scrape his wing, scrape his headlights off and get enough light to where he can get out of there. He's scraping away all your building the sweat. He's pissed and he's cussing and swearing and everything else. So he thinks he's got just about enough. Okay. So he goes back in the car. He sits down, turns it back on, cranks it, puts his foot on the brake, puts it in reverse. The reverse lights come on the car, and the tires start spinning. But I had jacked both sides of the back end up in the air and put blocks underneath of them and let the air out of the tires all but 10 pounds. The suspension, everything he owned was in that car, so the suspension made it look like it was sitting on the ground. Anyway, lower, much lower than what it should be. So and poured oil underneath his tires. So he's getting the gas and smoke coming everywhere. Now, what does this man do? He has a Cadillac. He gets out behind his car. He gets down. He looks at both sides are jacked up like that. Oh, he's mad. Everything he owns is on top of his jack and spare tire in that Cadillac.
So he's got to dig everything out.
He's got to put everything all around in the parking lot, all around. And so he jacks the one side up. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, no, the matches are over. Dude, this guy was chasing after fans with a tire, and he was foaming at the mouth. He drove his car off of the other side of the blocks. Then he realized he only had like a very little bit of air. He's throwing all his shit in the car. Oh, it was great. So Wahoo comes out now. Wahoo comes out, gets in the Bronco. Nobody messed with Wahoo coming out of the building. He walked straight to the Bronco because everybody was over there with Mosca. I mean, Mosca, it was great. Yeah, like I said, he was swinging a tire. So anyway, we get in Wahoo gets in the Bronco, cranks it up, and we pull up to where Mosca is. Wahoo rolled down the window and said, "See you down the road." And I said, "See ya." And when I said, boy, he just started shaking. Well, I didn't see Mosca again for like 4 years. I started working for Vince, and he had Mosca come in and do a commentary. He was a color commentator on Jack Tunney's TV or something. And Mosca opens the dressing room at the Maple Leaf Gardens, and I'm sitting there, and he goes, ha, 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 ha. He goes, "Are we okay, kid?" And I said, "It depends on you, But I was okay. I didn't mess with anybody unless they messed with me first. Right. Yeah. So it was, it's fun when you're getting those good ones like that, because that man wanted to explode, and you just know how much it has to kill somebody inside to admit to defeat and to ask for please, But Mike Rotundo's been in those shoes. Mike Davis has been in those shoes. Jake the Snake Roberts has been in those shoes. There's been a lot of them. Please don't mess with me no more. No.
Sam, we saw you, speaking of when you worked with Vince, Mark and I, we were kids. We were 11, 12 years old. June 12th, 1988. We fought in Du Bois, Pennsylvania against Bret Hart. Main event was Ken Patera and Dino Bravo, but you and Bret, I think Mark would agree, you guys stole the show that night. Bret wins with the pile driver. And after the pile driver, you're down for a while, and then you start to walk back towards the locker room, and you're holding your neck, and you kind of teeter off, and bam, you just take a face right into the wall. And the fans are murmuring like, "Oh, geez, I think the kid's got a weak neck. I think Bret really hurt him with that pile driver." It's a moment that stands out to this day, 30-some years later, for Mark and myself. Is that the decision that you make? Like, I want to give these people their money's worth, or is there someone telling you, "Listen, we're pushing Bret. You better make him look like $1 million"? But
no, you know what it is for me. I'm going to go out there Okay, when I started wrestling, this was my passion. This is my dream, and I tell this to the new guys now. I see them get in the ring, and they're just like half-ass working out. And I'm like, man, you need. I used to have to drive 250 miles down the road. Then I'd have to put the ring up. All right. Then I would have 30 or 45 minutes to work out in it, usually by myself, or if I had a helper or something like that, get them in there and try to, wrestle around with somebody, and then I had to do the show, and I had to, keep time, tear the ring down, load it, and then drive it back 250 miles. I mean, they look at being in the ring a whole lot different for me. For me, every opportunity that I could get in the ring, wow, what a blessing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These guys now, they just want to half-ass do it and get by and call themselves a wrestler. Well, they don't have a passion for it. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to go one step further and give it my best. And I'll tell you where I got this from. Me and Baby Doll walked into the arena in Greensboro, and Terry Funk was laid out on one of those tables back in the back. I said, "What's wrong, Terry?" He said, "Well, Sam, I've got a fractured hip." I was like, "And you're going to work?" He said, "These people paid to see me tonight. I'm not going to let them down." And he went in there and turned in a 40-minute match with Flair, doing moonsaults off the top rope. And I made a decision in my life, right? Then I'm going to be one of those tape up and go guys. I'm not going to let nothing hold me back. I'm going to give it. I got every night I got. So I'm coming back from the ring one night in Philadelphia, and Paul Ellering was standing on the stage, and I come through the curtain. He says, "Sam," he said, "Yeah, I just love watching your matches." I said, "Really? I'm glad. Thanks." He said, "You always go that one step further." He said, "People believe in you, so you always go that one step further." Well, that's something that I had with me all through my career until I got, 91 to really, I got lost in, I ended up with partial paralysis. My marriage ended. I became a real bad alcoholic. I drank, anywhere from 1 to 3 fists a day of liquor every day for damn near 19 years, and I never could get it right. I never could understand it was the what was hurting me. So there was a time in there from 91. Now, I went out to California, and this doctor worked on me out there, Dr. Schaffner. And then I came to Atlanta to visit my dad, and I ran into this big Indian fella, Charlie Norris, and Charlie goes, "Hey, you're Sam Houston." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Do you remember me?" I said, "No." He said, "You whipped my ass about 4 years ago for my WWF debut." I was like, "Ooh, gosh, the guy wants to fight." He said, "No." He helped me with my dad, and then he asked me to start working out with him at the training center, WCW's power plant. And we've been working out for like 3 months. I was taking care of my dad getting out of the hospital. He had to have his stomach removed, staph infection, ended up with the whole 9 yards. So anyway, I was having to take care of my dad, and I was working out with Charlie. And one night he told me, he said, "You need to be back in there." I said, "No." I said, "Charlie, my career is over. I injured myself, and then I got the doctor got me back on my feet, and then I was in the Northridge earthquake, and I re-injured myself, and I was down for another 6 months because where I was in Calabasas, California, right there by Malibu, and those ain't just paper mache doors on people's condos and houses out there. And after an earthquake, you got to get people out. So I was knocking doors down and getting people out of their places. And I hurt myself, and this doctor worked on me for another 6 months. Well, I told Charlie my career was over, and he said, "No, dude." He said, "Man," he goes, "I'm 3 inches taller than you. I'm 65 pounds heavier than you. I'm giving you everything I got when we get in the ring, and I can't do anything with you." He said, you need to be back in there. And I decided, well, I'd give it a shot. It was a tag team situation, you know, and then WCW was going to do some stuff with me, and I went to Jim Barnett with me and Charlie idea of us tagging up, and then the next thing, Charlie's tagging up with Dustin and everything. So they had me in singles, and that wasn't what I was looking for. So, you know, I packed up, went back out to California. When Charlie left WCW, we hooked up, and then we went to Japan 5 times, Australia. We were in New Guinea, you know, and we did a lot of things, a lot of good stuff here in the States on the independent levels.
Yeah, Sam, you said at the beginning of this, or maybe even when we were pre-talking, that you've been around the world pretty much 9 times, just doing
8 times.
8 times. Well, I'm going to give you one more for the hell of it.
Yeah, just for the heck of it, you know. I got to open up for the Who twice at the Houston Astrodome and Reunion Arena for their show at Texas Stadium. You know. Wow. Guess what? I was just laughing about this the other day. All right. WrestleMania 4. Does everybody remember it? The only thing that made me run was when Liberace come in the dressing room and wanted to meet the boys. I just think about that the other day. Yeah, I see some pretty strange stuff, you know. But yeah, I ran over when he was coming all over. Vanna White gave everybody her book, which was really nice, but I think everybody left their book there except for One Man Gang. But everybody else left it. Oh.
John?
But, you know, at a time you think you're on top of the world, you know?
Right.
But, you know, real freedom is when you know, when you serve the master, when you finally figure out it ain't all about you, it's about what you can do for your brothers and sisters, how you can help them, you know, how to ease somebody else's burden. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to bring joy to people, you know. And if I can do that, and if I can entertain people with my stories, and if I can, you know, because like I said, you know, I've done everything. Yeah, I'm the guy that, you know. See, I was sitting in the mountains in New Mexico. I told Baby Doll one day at 2:30 in the afternoon. I said, "See that mountain over there? I'm gonna climb that mountain, you know."
That was Alabama.
And then we went and did it.
Yeah, that was Alabama. That was an Alabama song. Playing some music.
Yeah. But I mean, I was sitting there in New Mexico, and I figured I'm gonna go climb that mountain. And I did. I climbed that mountain. I gotta tell you, I had a bear encounter, and I was taking off with it. It was me and Nicola, and it was this bear. And this bear was about, I don't know, 100 yards away, big black, and going back and forth in the road because we had seen a bear on the other peak when we got to the top of the mountain. So I see this big figure in the road, and I know it's the bear. And all I got is a fishing knife, a pocket knife that we've been cleaning fish with because we were trout fishing every day. So I told her, I said, "Here's the rent-a-car, the truck keys." We had a 4-wheel drive. I said, "You get down the mountain to the truck as fast as you can." She goes, "Where are you going to be?" I said, "I'll be right behind you." And then she looked up and she saw it, and she was like, "Oh gosh!" And she takes off running through the foliage and everything, starts making all this noise. I see these 2 eyes, green eyes, glowing in the dark, and I see that like it turned and was following her. And I was like, "Oh no," because we had just gotten married. So, oh no, I reached in my back pocket and I wore those tight Levi's jeans in, and the knife hooked on the pocket and fell on the ground. So I reached down to pick it up, and when I reached down, I saw the head move back and the green eyes come back to me, focusing on me. And I opened that pocket knife up, boy, and I took off running. I was hollering with everything he had. And the Almighty changed that bear into a cow that last 20 yards. Woo! But dude, I was going to fight a bear.
Of course you were. Of course you were.
You mentioned Baby Doll, I wanted to ask a couple of questions. We had her on the show, I guess maybe a year or so ago, and she talked about, maybe this is two different instances because I'm hearing two different stories. She talked about getting released from Jim Crockett Promotions because you were working for Vince and they felt it was a conflict of interest. And then I also come across a story where they let her go because the guy sent her to a restaurant and she didn't pick up the food, and so they fired you and her. Are those both true? Are they different times?
Different times, I think. I think the first time, I don't think that was a firing issue. That's just I lost the I guess some of the prestige with the office that I had. But she was a main eventer, like I said before. She was a main eventer just like anybody else. If they wanted food, they could go to Simon Malone's and get it anyway. They were going to drink anyway. And shoot, if what I did was wrong for standing up for somebody, first of all, at the time she was my wife. Second of all, she's not anybody else's, servant. She's a main eventer her own self. I mean, come on, you don't think the Great American Bash did so great, would have done as great without the Baby Doll Jim Cornette thing?
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah.
Come on. Give her props. Give her respect. And that's all I tried to do ever was standing up for her. And that, they might have felt it was a conflict of interest when I was working for WWF and she was working for WCW. But then again, she got pregnant. She got pregnant with Micah. And we had made the decision then, too. But that was shortly after she left WCW, she got pregnant. But
Mark, Sam's telling us about Baby Doll and how she was a main event herself. When you think of Dusty Rhodes versus Ric Flair, and she was in Dusty's corner, but she put Flair's foot on the bottom rope. I mean, that's what sticks with the fans. It's that one moment.
To this day. Yeah.
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 But she had so many of those moments, I mean, when she was the security guard, when she showed up in the ring in Greensboro with the wig on and the security guard outfit. I mean, she did a lot of great stuff with it in this business and for this business. Right. She used to take fan letters that women, that had been going through hard times and stuff. She used to take that on the air and read those, Well, that's giving people a voice, and that's exactly what she did, And she deserves any high honor she can get.
Yeah, she does. She does.
John wants to talk about your GWF time a little bit. You all right hanging on for a little bit longer, Sam?
Yeah, but we're going to have to wrap it up because my girl's got dinner going for me.
Oh, okay. Nice. So we're going to come over then real quick.
Go ahead.
Question, but just you teaming up with, are you working with Rock and Robin and Baby Doll in the GWF? Kind of a short-lived promotion, but it was a lot of fun to watch.
Well, I didn't know Robin. I didn't think Robin worked there. I don't remember Robin working in the GWF. Robin did the 5-star thing with me.
Maybe that's what it was. Okay, yeah.
And then Baby Doll did GWF. But the only other time besides Vince that Robin and I worked together was for 5-star.
Okay.
So you were wrong, John. Good job. No.
It all starts to mesh together after all these years.
Sam, before we let you go, though, I want to let you have a platform one more time. Tell everybody what you're doing I know you're out helping people with houses and doing like more charitable work like we talked about, and are you going to be popping up at any place like WrestleCade this year or anything like that?
Well, I'm going to be at the Gathering coming up. I'd like to be at WrestleCade. I'm definitely going to look into that. But to be really honest with you, I've had guys behind me or, people that were helping me do things. When I got out of prison, nobody helped me find out about any of these meet and greets or I had to do all that on my own. And I'm not, I went to jail and we're just coming out with flip phones. I come out of jail and you got a whole computer in your hand. You know what I mean? So that was a whole big thing. And I'm just now putting my crew of all of my most beloved friends and family that are helping me, put things together. That's why, like, Kim Austin is doing such a great job with Will Knight, and everybody's coming together. Robin Kurtz helping out, putting together something good and to make it easier for me for my bookings and stuff.
Right.
Because like I said, I mean, when I wake up in the morning, I see something needs doing, and I go get it done. I mean, I built a ramp the other day for a 75-year-old man and his 95-year-old mom. Their house was on like 3 foot off the ground on pier and beam suspension,
Right.
and he's got to take her in a wheelchair. He couldn't do that on the steps. The ramp ended up having to be 32 foot long because you can only drop an inch per foot.
Wow.
So, but a couple of the neighbors went and bought all the materials, and then I showed up, and 2 guys stayed there and helped me build it. And I built that ramp, and I built them 2 other ramps. I've been doing some things through the churches here, helping people out repair their homes and stuff. But in doing this has also let my business start to flourish too, because now a lady that she, I guess, designs rooms for this Airbnb company and stuff like that. So now they've got me going and doing a room at a time, so it's pretty cool.
Nice.
But yeah, but the wrestling is my passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam, it's been great having you on Can Crushers. I'd love to dive into more stories. Stop by anytime you want. We will help. We'll promote as much as you want us to help because you were our childhood. I think at WWF, like John said, when we think of that Du Bois, you were what we remember on that card, selling that pile driver. And my mom...
Oh, yeah.
And my mom, God rest her soul, thought you were so damn cute. So knowing that I'm talking with you today,
thank you.
I hope she's smiling in heaven because, man.
Oh, she is. She is. Hey, well, y'all take care, and thank you for having me on. Join Fan Nation, Sam Houston Fan Nation. You can keep updated on anything. And yeah, guys, if you want to get me back, give my manager Will or Kimberly, either one, a holler.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much, sir. This was awesome. We appreciate it.
Mark, this interview kind of hit all points. Highs and lows, and obviously the wrestling stories are a lot of fun. The road trips, the legend of Andre the Giant's ability to just put away the beer.
Two. I'm not as good as Andre as Sam was.
Before we get to this, how good are Sam Houston's impressions? Holy cow!
Right? I mean, you do a mean Vince McMahon, but his Andre was unbelievable. I loved it.
Yeah. And his Terry Funk was really good.
Terry Funk was... I thought we actually were talking to Terry Funk.
Yeah. I thought his Dusty was great, which, people imitate Dusty Rhodes. That doesn't mean it's a great imitation, but Dusty's a little easier to imitate. Boy, Sam had Terry's cadence and kind of a bit of a high-pitched voice down to a T. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was. This was a fun interview. But go ahead. I know where you're going to go.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun, but it was also very raw and very real. And Sam has had some battles. And the good news is it looks like he's won them all, really. He continues to push forward and fight, but he has won them all. Depression, alcoholism, drugs. He was that close, as we heard, to not being with us anymore on a number of occasions. And unfortunately, one of those times was almost, by his own hand. But as we heard, it was a different hand that made sure he stayed with us a good while longer.
Yeah, he won those battles, and that's awesome. Guys, we didn't get to really talk about, he's got a song on YouTube called Salvation. Make sure you check that out as well, along with all the websites that Sam was talking about. And, John, we need to have him back on. We didn't dive into matches legitimately. I'd love to talk matches, his daughters in wrestling. This lineage is going stronger, is getting stronger and stronger. Right. And he made reference to one thing, and once it airs, I think this would be another great talking point. The Dark Side of the Ring is coming up about his family.
Yeah.
So,
and he was already more than generous with his time. I think if supper had not been ready, we could have kept Sam on probably for another hour.
Without a doubt. So, I hope he was all right with me inviting us down to eat.
Yeah, I hope so.
I mean, we have to get in your Learjet to get down there real quick, though. Because mine does not have any gas right now. So, The Gathering, Charlotte, North Carolina. That would be something awesome. We'll look into that, huh?
Yes, sir, we will.
All right, John. I love you, but remember.
Just because you're trash, it doesn't mean you can't do great things.
It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot.